And good afternoon to the bad people and the good people. Put the bad people in front for a change. Friends and enemies. Chris Bates back with you with the Precursor. Congregate every Wednesday. That's at 4 p.m. Central. And yeah, strange days indeed. Yep, strange days indeed. That's where we are. Let's see. Hold on a second. Oh, Nat King Cole flying around here. I can't have that. So you go to the Peanut Gallery and say happy Wednesday, of course, to Barbara Jean. How you feeling, Barbara Jean? You feeling a little bit better? How you doing? Barbara Jean is on Facebook Live and also the Chris Base channel. All one word. Subscribe, like, and share. Pass that bad boy. Also catch me on Instagram. I am the base. You can also, again, with those other outlets, call in if you like on the Precursor at 312-597-2106. Again, 312-597-2106. Also, you ask for the link. I put the link in there, and you will shall receive it. You feel great? Good. Glad to hear it. Glad to read it. All right. The federal government shut down at midnight after a deadlocked Congress failed to reach a deal on funding. Republicans and Democrats are at odds over enhanced Obamacare subsidiaries. Federal workers bear the brunt of the government shutdowns, and the White House has said federal worker layoffs are imminent. Agencies and activities deemed essential are still open, and we're tracking the programs as we speak right now. This is going back to CNN reporting. Senators are leaving town until Friday, meaning the government will be shut down at least until then, though likely longer. Right now, we're at 17 hours, 5 minutes, and 8 seconds. When the federal government shuts down, it undermines the Federal Aviation Administration's ability to effectively perform its safety critical mission, according to a 2023 report from an independent panel of aviation safety experts. The National Airspace System Safety Review Team has commissioned by the FAA to identify risk in the national airspace system. The report details past shutdowns, the direct impact on aviation. Let's see, go to the comment section here. How you doing, Omar? Happy Wednesday to you. How you feeling? Thank you for being here. This stop and start process in Congress has resulted in the disruption of critical activities, notably including the hiring and training of air traffic controllers, one report said. It also has slowed down the implementation of key technology modernization programs, delayed thousands of flights, and held up billions of dollars of airport infrastructure investments. During the shutdown, the Department of Transportation has furloughed a quarter of FAA employees, mostly in support staff or non safety focused roles. More than 13,000 air traffic controllers are still working, but without pay. The report also notes that another impact of government shutdowns and continuing resolutions is increasing cost to programs. It said it makes it extremely difficult for the FAA to effectively conduct long-term business planning and execution. The efficient use of the tax dollar and the preservation of benchmark schedules are nearly impossible when they had the budgetary appropriation for the program is not known until midway through the budget year. Between 2007 and 2012, there are 23 short-term extensions to legislation authorizing the FAA and a 2-week lapse in 2011. The Dow S&P 500 closes at record highs as investors shrug off the shutdown. So, to look at where we are now in our country, it's scary. I hate to use the word scary, but that describes it. For example, the furloughed, load, you want to call it a furloughed federal employees. Now, Defense Department is 335,000 plus. The HHS has 32,000 plus, meaning once again furloughed federal employees. State Department 14,000 plus. Homeland Security is at 14,000. Transportation 11,000. Correction. State Department 17,000 plus. Now, what could be shut down or compromised, for example, the FDA inspection limited and could be delayed, travel delays, and national parks. So, again, what could be shut down or compromised, the FDA inspections limited slash delayed, travel delays, and national parks. And so, when again, the process of all this going on, everybody's pointing fingers at everybody else. Was the Democrats, Republicans, and the Republicans went home on a protest, and House Speaker Johnson is having words with George Stephanopoulos on ABC. They're going back and forth. All this chaos, which is what I want. What I really want to believe that this is what Trump wants. He wants to have chaos and destruction and things like that. That's what he wants. He's an agent of chaos, not the president, an agent of chaos. Let's see. How you doing, Innova? Says, good afternoon, Chris and Base Nation. Thank you for being here, Innova. Of course, Innova and our brother Mark are the official chefs of this program and, of course, on Baseline. Let's see what we got here. So let's see. So Mark is cooking tonight. Deep fried boneless chicken breast, Creole rice, and steamed corn on the cob with butter. Drink fresh lemonade. Okay. Let's see. So I'll read the menu one more time. So Mark again is cooking deep fried boneless chicken breast, Creole rice, and steamed corn on the cob with butter. Drink freshly homemade lemonade. Dessert, chocolate brownie with vanilla ice cream. So thank you, Ann, for taking time. And thank you, brother, too, Mark, for doing that. You know, I'm gonna be really transparent with you, and I have been since I've been doing shows like this over the years. I'm tired. I'm tired. And I've been doing this now for a while, as it seems as though that the world is not even trying to get better when you have people like him in office. People just want to see the world burn, and that's Trump. And it is not right, and it is not fair. And I, for one, again, just completely fed the entire fuck up. I'm done. Uh, I've been doing this now for 30 years. 30 years. From board op to producer to host. And I think, like anything else, that when you're doing shows like this, it takes its toll. And like before I get on to do the program today, I'm looking at Trump on the news, unfortunately. And I'm watching him when he was at the meeting with the generals and the admirals, him and Pete Hegseth. And just every time on the microphone, he loves it because it's all about him. Not about us, mind you, about him. And because of his fragile ego, of him never grew up. He's still a child in an old man's body, which is a completely waste. It's a fucking waste of space. And it amazes me still, how can you follow somebody like that? How can you, whatever mind that you have, agree with this man and follow him the way you do? So what does it say about you as a person? Now, some people may say that, hey, he's aligned with my thinking. He's going to get stuff done. He's, at the time he was running for the presidency, going to lower grocery prices and things like that. He didn't keep his promise on that. It's the highest ever been when it comes to grocery prices. The whole conversation about eggs and the like. And again, how can people just align themselves thinking wise with this man? And so then I think about, just like any other politician, how do you align yourself with their thinking? And you see something in them that obviously represents you, whether it's local politics, as a mayor, as a alder person, go through the ranks of senators and congress people. When you vote for them, you're taking time to invest what you see in that particular candidate and then cast your vote. And so what we get is people like 47 who I believe is on the trajectory to destroy this nation. That's what I believe. about to do and is trying to do. How you doing, Diane? Let's see. He is unhinged, demented, and delusional. And Vice President Maybelline isn't any better. You are correct in your assessment. Yes. And says it's so crazy everywhere. Prayers for everyone. Yes. There's a lot of voters' remorse of Barbara Jean types. I agree. Yes. And as well, you should have voters' remorse. Some people, even though they knew from the first term that Trump was not good for the country, you find out again what's good for you as the voter and as the taxpayer and as the person who lives in this country. What can he do to help me? He hasn't done anything to help anybody. So you should feel some sort of way. Which is again, and to their credit, I give credit when credit is due. To their credit, when you see these town hall meetings from coast to coast and all parts in between, when you take a look at that, that to me gives me hope in humanity. And to their credit, to represent a representation of these representatives and people who work, who got voted for their respective districts, come back to the town hall meetings. The people, the constituents, let them have it, and rightfully so. And one thing is to get their head out of Trump's ass and represent me. This is why I voted for you in the first place. I didn't vote for you to put your head into Trump's asshole. I voted for you to help me with my taxes, to make sure my 401k plan is safe. So I can go buy groceries and have enough left over for whatever activities I need as a taxpayer and someone who has a job and the like. So I remember he was running at one point in one of the funky slogan had promises kept. Promises were never made. Not not this time. Hell no. The promise he did make was about being a dictator on day one and going after his political enemies. Some of the MAGA nuts absolutely refused to stand down, Barbara Jean types. Correct. But see, Barbara Jean, that's what happens when you're a part of a cult. That's what happens. You have a charismatic leader. I wouldn't call him charismatic, but it must be charismatic to somebody. And they've been showing that. Must be charismatic in some way, shape, or form to somebody. And then to put your faith and all into a respective vote. And once again, same thing we happened the last time. The people who denounce him in public vote for him in private. That's why the numbers shot up the way they did. This past election still could be some sticky fingers involved, but that was the rumor or fact, going depending on how you look at it. That's where Elon Musk had come in. Elon Musk to help him get into the presidency. It's like, okay, you do me a favor, I'll do you a favor. If I can find a way to get you back in the office, you got to let me go in there into the government and let me pick through what I got to pick through. I'm gonna say that long. Just give me a name and everything else, and all that. Again, it's just all that theater. It wasn't even good theater at that. When you look at when he had the Oval Office and he invited then in charge of Doge, Elon Musk, with his 4-year-old son. They, they had a mouth expert on one of these talking head programs saying that again, the Elon Musk's son said to Trump, "You're not a fucking president," something like that. So again, how would a 4-year-old know that if he heard it from an adult or adults? Kids mimic what they hear and see. So that was interesting. But then he didn't stay long, meaning Musk, and then he's out of there. Just selling the government down, just selling it down, just completely down. And he and his family keep getting rich. Was getting the grifter in chief. And his assignment really is to just, as I said before, the agent of chaos. He's starting chaos. That's what he's here for. How you doing, Jed? Let's see. What do you say? Uh, farming is toast. Yeah, wheat, soy, done. American farmers are getting the ballot they are praying for. Yeah, it's a lot to digest, a lot to unpack, Jed. But we got to remain diligent and not let this completely take us all the way out. It's gloom and doom, and once again, we're just into year one. Once again, not even the end of the year yet, and all this harm and shame and gloom and despair and agony on me. Why? Because of what Trump wants to do is to use the political system, the government, to get back at his so-called political enemies. Yeah, man, it's a not even a slippery slope. This is the damnedest of slopes at this stage in the game, and it's also a point of reference to think that something can come out of this. And right now, all I see is just once again bad times and chaos. Top American military brass looked on in silence Tuesday as they sat for an extensive lecture from U.S. Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth, who wants to be known as the Secretary of War, and their Commander in Chief, 47. The message from Hegseth is that the U.S. military isn't ready to fight in the way it needs to be, and that he's tired of seeing, quote, fat generals parading around the Pentagon. But his demand that the military clean up and get more fit was less important than the new mission generals and admirals got their got from their commander in chief, who sees an invasion within. American inner cities are a part of war now, Trump said. If the brass didn't like it, they should leave the room, Trump said, apparently joking before he's issuing the warning. Of course, there goes your rank, there goes your future. He wasn't joking. Hegseth made a similar point and seemed quite serious. If the words I'm speaking today aren't making your heart sink, then you should do the honorable thing and resign. For the men at the top of the new warrior ethos comes with ultimatums. Hegseth convened the unprecedented all star meeting to reinvigorate the force and build up the warrior ethos, or ethos, depending on tomato tomato mentality, which he says has been smothered by diversity efforts and politics at the Pentagon. There will be new grooming standards, no more beards, and a new highest male standard physical fitness requirement for combat roles. Climate change worship and dudes in dresses are out, he said, most notably people who are having to be gay or lesbian or queer or what everyone put it in the LGBTQ plus community. A monthly Christian prayer service is in. The military should be thinking like it's 1990, Hegseth said, and acting any changes since the pre-internet era that weren't biased on the evolving landscape of combat, but rather part of a softening, weakening, or gender biased pursuit of other priorities. As this part, Hegseth said everyone in the military will have to pass a fitness test twice a year, including generals and admirals, a requirement not previously enforced. No more politically correct and overbearing rules of engagement, just common sense. It ain't common, Heck says. Maximum lethality and authority of war fighters. He said, expressing that all he ever wanted as a young platoon leader was to have his hands untied. For the record, rules of engagement are dictated by the U.S. law of war and the Geneva Convention, according to the Uniform Code of Military Justice. Retired Major General Marilyn Quagliati told CNN's Erin Burnett that she does not necessarily have a problem with the concept of raising standards, but she was very worried about the idea of rejecting rules of engagement. Quote, once you lose all discipline with the Army, what you end up with is what we saw in Russia. The American people do not want to see their Army or their military act like that. Russian forces have been accused of committing numerous atrocities, including in the ongoing war in Ukraine. Hex has long been skeptical of placing women in combat roles, and he expects that adding a physical fitness test will be a barrier to them. So be it, he told the generals. He also keen to weed out weak men. Yeah, weak men. It was an unfortunate focus on a culture war when we should be focusing on military readiness, said Callahan Hunter, a retired major and former Marine combat pilot who is now CEO of Iraq and Afghanistan Veterans for America. The military had already been working to better prepare recruits, including with a pre basic training camp for those who need help losing weight or meeting academic requirements, something that started before Trump took office and has been credited with helping the military meet their recruitment goals. See. He says, spread out and draw fire to the generals at the end. Drunk clown. I couldn't follow the Trump mumble. Yeah, you're good, Jay, because I couldn't follow it either. Again, go back to 47. Put a microphone in front of him. Yeah, and who knows what will come out besides crap. And it's an insult to these admirals and generals. It really is to hear this bullshit from both men. It really is. It's a colossal waste of time. It costs the taxpayers millions of dollars to take these admirals and generals from their places around the world to attend this meeting. That came out of our pockets, not theirs, ours. Just for Trump to have some babbling and Hegseth want to be tough guy. It's a bad reality show, and I mean bad, not bad as good, but bad like horrible. This sucks and swallows. This is nasty. All this is, and then you want to use so-called urban cities for training grounds for a military. So you just want to take out people, and primarily people who live in blue cities, in blue states. Again, political enemies. So not only do we got paid the price, we're trying to end up killing all of us. At least the attempt to. And all of this is just too much at one time. You gotta keep up with it though, because again, you got no surroundings. You have to. But this is a colossal waste of time. It's a waste of the country's time, your time, my time. I don't know if it's true or not. I was seeing online that Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker was calling for Trump to be removed via the 25th Amendment. It was funny because the 25th Amendment was talked about the last time Trump was in office, nothing happened to him. And of course, Pritzker has eyes for the presidency seat himself. So it's not just saying it. I mean, he's saying it for a reason because he wants to be the next president as well. He wants to take a crack at it, and make a run at it. At this stage of the game, I don't blame him. And why not? I mean, no offense, no more celebrities. I mean, Trump's not a celebrity, but the celebrity by osmosis because of who he was in New York and all that behind him, all that Trump Towers crap and everything else. So yeah, he's a celebrity by that, but not like acting and things like that. Which again, I personally believe that this whole thing about inserting himself into everything is just the fact that he believes, meaning Trump, that when someone like Jimmy Kimmel or Stephen Colbert or anybody else make fun of him, he feels like he's a part of that community. He believes that he's a part of that um, NBC family acting, the whole thing, the whole camaraderie of actors, comedians, and the like. We can be anybody, but I think for some reason that hurts him the most. So you control the narrative. So what does he do? As you know, becomes the president of the whole Kennedy Center. A lot of people from the board walked. Got again, yes, people, and that him, meaning Trump, will host the Kennedy Center Honors Awards himself. Jeez. Smelly, angry orange, gas bag, bully, racist, bigot. Exactly, Barbara Jean. Exactly. Let's see. It's only gonna get worse. I mean, and not to be the bearer of bad news, but this is the direction that we're going into. Where's the daggone eviction notice? He needs to get the hell out of 1600 South Pennsylvania Avenue. Yeah, I agree. He does, but once again, you just have too many people involved around him, too many people in bed with him. And what I mean by that is the whole conversation about making strange bedfellows. This is part of it because him being the punk ass that he is, when somebody comes after him, what do he do? Just shoot back at them and he'll out them. So you're talking about from the standpoint of why does anybody try to lock him up? Or as he said about Hillary Clinton, lock her up, lock her up, lock him up. He's too well connected. I hate to give it to him on that, but he's too well connected. Why? Because his ass should have been in jail a long time ago. But he's not. Let's see. Immigration and Customs Enforcement agents raided a South Shore apartment building. Hold on a second. This is my daughter. Hold on a second. Yeah, I'm doing my show right now. What do you mean again? I'm also. What do you mean again? I'm on at 4 o'clock every Wednesday. If you come up, if you catch up with me, yeah. Well, no, I was helping your grandmother at the time. All right, I'll talk to you later. All right, bye bye. See what I mean? Family love. Don't even know what her daddy's on doing this program. Don't know where I'm on at all. I know you're doing your show. Well, thanks a lot. That's good. That's good for pappyism. Ooh wee. Right. Kangaroo cabinet. Right. Yeah, she's funny. Again? Yeah. I'm doing my show again. Yeah. Thank you, Barbara Jean. My daughter, yeah, goes to talk about it again. You doing the show again? Again, yes, I'm doing the show again. Immigration and Customs Enforcement agents raided a South Shore apartment building overnight as the city embraced a possible military deployment. Residents and neighbors are speaking out at what they call a traumatic event. My building is shaking, so I'm like, what is that? Then I look out of the window is a Black Hawk helicopter, said witness Dr. Ali Muhammad. Wednesday morning, DHS officials said in a statement in the early morning hours of September 30th, 2025, allied federal law enforcement agencies with CBP, FBI, and ATF executed an enforcement operation in Chicago's South Shore area, a location known to be frequented by Trende Aguara members and their associates. Some of the targeted subjects are believed to be involved in drug trafficking, distribution, weapons, crimes, and immigration violators. DHS said 37 people were arrested. What's say, Jay, giving you the Rodney Dangerfield treatment? That's why I get no respect. I swear to God. Ooh wee. What's say he's an oxygen and was it he's an oxygen band? Yeah, why would you think? Once again, DHS said 37 people were arrested. ABC7 spoke to uh, Patricia Fisher, a woman who lives in the building. She said ICE agents took everyone in the building, including her, and asked questions later. They just treated us like we were nothing, Fisher said. Fisher said she came out to the hallway of her apartment complex on the corner of 75th and South Shore Drive in her nightgown around 10 p.m. Monday, only to find armed ICE agents yelling police. It was scary because I had never had a gun in my face before, Fisher said. They asked my name and my date of birth and asked me, did I have any warrants? I told them no, I didn't. Fisher said she was handcuffed before being released around 3 a.m. And she was told that if anyone had any kind of warrant out for them, even if it was unrelated to the immigration, they would not be released. They like piling us all up in the back of on in the back on the other side, and it wasn't no room to move nowhere, Fisher said. Citizen app video captured the chaotic scene, and neighbors say they were dozens of ICE agents. As I got to my unit to stick my key in the door, I was grabbed by an officer, and I said, "What's going on? What's going on?" He never actually told me. He said I was being detained, said Alice Brooks. Neighbors like Emily Watson said they ducked for cover when they heard several flash bangs. They were terrified. The kids were crying, people were screaming. They looked very distraught. And I was out there crying when I seen a little girl come around the corner because they was bringing up kids down too hard, then zip tied each one of them, Watson said. That's all I kept asking. What is the morality? Where is the human? One of them literally laughed. He said, standing right here, he said, fuck them kids. Watson said trucks and military style vans were used to separate parents from their children. Other neighbors said agents destroyed property to get into the building. They had a big 15-inch chainsaw with round blades on it, cutting this fence down, said witness Daryl Ballard. We're under siege. We're being invaded by our own military. Let's see. I saw the footage online. Residents are displaced children will most likely have nightmares. Well, she's talking to let's see, talking to Jay on that one. Barbara Jean. Don't bring that shit to my neighborhood. Yes, Barbara Jean, I understand. So I live in South Shore. So I told you I moved back from the South Shore from Bronzeville, which I live with my mom and formerly my family, but my backstory with my family. So let's see, we have been there. I want to say 10 years, about 8 years. I would say about 10 years total. So we moved back to the neighborhood, South Shore, and the home we're living in now. And I lived in South Shore, I mean, all my life before we moved out a while back. So we're back. But my point is, I know exactly where that location is. And just to fathom of separation of parents and children, and for someone in one of these ICE agents say, fuck them kids, that's just sad. You can do things without being so damn forceful, but that's how they were trained. And you're right, just paraphrasing what the person was saying about where's the morality? Where is it? Where's I was that injustice? Where is that? And it's not there. Why? Because I don't know if this is true or not. I just heard rumblings over the years that with certain people in the military or enforcement, depending on how they were trained not to think as people as human beings to a degree. Don't think of them as human beings because then you lose your nerve. Like you develop something in your head. Like on a parallel side, on the fun side, for example, what I mean by fun is Shaquille O'Neal talked about playing in the league and how he had to go up against David Robinson, who was a stellar athlete, played for Navy, played in the Olympics, the original Dream Team, played for the San Antonio Spurs, won championships. He had to go up against him. So in Shaquille O'Neal's mind, he had to create a rivalry. He had to create something to have an edge to go against him. Now, yeah, but you made it up. But it seemed to have worked. Something along the lines of when Shaquille O'Neal was a kid, I think he stayed in Texas at one point, and of course, the San Antonio Spurs were there, and something along the lines of, "He didn't give me an autograph." Even David Robinson said, "I don't believe that happened," and it did not happen. But my point is, you take imagination and use it to your ability. So going back to this whole thing about not seeing them as human beings, but as whatever else, and dare I say, you throw in hatred for these people. It's that's what you got. And it gets the job done because if you actually gave a damn, you wouldn't do it. You wouldn't even think about doing that to another human being. If the other human being was attacking you or had a weapon, something like that, okay, I can stand that. You versus me, I got it. But just to take people down the way they do is just it's sick. And again, trying to start a war within our own country. And where's 47 at in all this? 47 executed these things happen. He wants these things to happen. Especially again, going back to Trump, and I do believe this firsthand that Obama again lives rent free in his mind. So why not Chicago? Not only is it blue, but it's from the standpoint of because of the to do with Obama. That goes back to this whole thing, which is sick, goes back to again that correspondence dinner when Obama made fun of Trump. And his poor orange his feelings were hurt. Oh, poor bastard. Can't take a joke. Classic bully. Is that building having issues with repairs? Good question, Barbara. I don't know. Good question. I got to look into that. Hold on. Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question. Again, this whole thing is just beyond bizarre at this stage of the game. It really is, especially when it comes too close to home. Like in my situation, living in South Shore, you can do things with tact and some form of professionalism, but not with this president. No, not at all. He has no problem separating parents from their children and vice versa. He has no problem issuing out orders for ICE agents and the National Guard to be in cities like here in Chicago and Memphis and DC and things of that nature. No problem. No problem. You do all this plausible diversions, but what about those Epstein files? What about those Epstein files? 47. What about those Epstein files? That we forgot, huh? All this other activity going. What about the Epstein files? Let's get back to that. Let's do a full court press on that, Mr. President. And I really call him that. Not, not my president. I didn't vote for him. Uh, I think that when you look at this whole thing of the concept of using your bully pulpit to get back to your so-called detractors. I mean, really, why don't you just, it ain't going to happen. We know that by now. Why don't you just sit down in the corner and be still and let adults handle these situations? But this is what we have, unfortunately. He is far from being an adult and could not even think about what's right because it's not about what's right. It's all about him. Jimmy Kimmel's ratings spike was short-lived. Disney briefly suspended ABC's Jimmy Kimmel Live after the host's remarks about the alleged assassin of Charlie Kirk sparked widespread backlash. After an about face from Disney, the liberal comedian returned last Tuesday, and Kimmel's emotional return drew a massive audience, but viewers haven't stuck around. On Thursday, Jimmy Kimmel Live averaged 2.3 million total viewers, a staggering 64% drop from the 6.5 million who tuned in for Tuesday's much hyped return. Kimmel shed even more viewers in the advertisement coveted demographic of adults ages 25 to 54, with Thursday's episode hemorrhaging 73% of viewers from the for the critical category. Jimmy Kimmel Live pulled in 1.7 million viewers among the key demos for Tuesday's return, but plummeted to 465,000 only 48 hours later. Jimmy Kimmel Live also lost significant viewers in the youngest demographic, adults aged 18 to 49, managing a 1.2 million on Tuesday, but quickly losing 73% to settle only for 334,000 on Thursday. So, yeah, I'm still on. I got 5 minutes. What do you want to go on real quick? Well, hold on. Wait. This is wait. You want me to send you some money? Oh, okay, wait. Okay, I can't talk about it now. Ladies and gentlemen, people, this is my daughter. She's begging for money again. She's dry begging right now. So, okay, but you didn't want to talk about. Okay, tell you what. Let me give me my 5 minutes. I'm gonna finish up the show, and then I'll call you back. It's 4:56 here. I got about 4 minutes and some change. Okay, bye bye. See what I gotta go through? See that? Oh boy, let's see. So I'm sick. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night to one sick diggy. How you doing, sick? Let's see. How have you been? At base sorry for being late. Not a problem, no. I'm good. I just got, once again, I did if people out there are parents or if you have friends who do it as well. Yeah, people, my situation, my oldest daughter is asking me for money, which I do not have. That's gonna be a surprise to her when I call her back. I don't have no money for you right now. I hate to tell you, but yeah, you get Pappy's broke. Ooh, help. I talking about having I don't want to hear anybody hear me beg. Well, you calling and first of all, didn't know uh, that I was doing my show, which is a complete insult. Complete insult. Yeah, yeah. So there you go. Let's see. Let's see. So okay, Omar, I am having the pre-birthday blues right now. Why are you having a pre-birthday blues, Omar? You have a birthday coming up, correct? So why are you having pre-birthday blues, man? Just curious. Again, going back to Kimmel. Well, look at it this way with the whole Kimmel thing. It was top news, and it still is, as far as I'm concerned. But it's still top news from the standpoint of when the whole thing erupted in the first place, and that they never should have took him off air. They never should have done that. Again, going back to the First Amendment rights, and you see what happened to Stephen Colbert over at CBS. So I'm glad he's back on. But again, because society now dealing with the internet, other ways to watch media and attention span of the viewer, I didn't expect them to hang on that long anyway. From the standpoint they heard the introduction, they got the monologue, and then a lot of people even followed Kimmel. They just took off, and that makes sense when you think about it. I am turning 56, and I am getting salty. Well, I don't know about anything about getting salty, man. You can. Um, Nothing wrong with that. It's a blessing. So your birthday is next Wednesday. Very cool. Very cool. Happy birthday in advance to one Omar Montgomery. So the once again the ratings thing, it's a touch and go. It's not easy to maintain programs on nowadays because you have TikTok, you have Instagram, and you have YouTube, and you have everything else that's out there. To the standpoint of the attention span of again the viewer, whoever they are, and that becomes part of the issue why some of these ratings on linear TV or terrestrial TV are going down. So once upon a time ago, when you had must see TV, which was a slogan for networks or just in general to watch television, yeah, you had to be home at a certain time to watch your favorite programs and programming. So at 7 o'clock, yeah, you gotta be there on time. This will be way before DVR, VHS, video recorder, all that stuff. We didn't have that back then at the time. Your ass had to be sit down in front of the tube to watch your programs on time. If you're lucky, they might rewind it down the road. They might do a rerun at the end of the season of that particular show. Other than that, mm-mm. Now usually what they would do, of course, they would have the season traditionally starting to fall, and they still do, starting to fall terrestrial television. Fall going into the summer, summer got reruns, and then back to fall again. with the internet and everything else, yeah, it's different. It hits different now. So your entertainment is different. Information is different. That's why this whole thing with TikTok is important because now that people, my daughter, Brianna, the one just called twice, drive begging for money. She's on TikTok the majority of the time. Not traditional news, maybe every now and again, but everything's online. So my point is, the numbers are scattered through terrestrial radio, terrestrial television, streaming services, and the like. So everybody got to get a share, which is why a lot of these terrestrial TV stations or TV corporations have to now invest into a streaming service because now that's where the money is. So as always, thank you for taking the time to be here for the Precursor. We are going to part company and good Lord willing, Creek don't rise. I will see you on Friday for Baseline, 5 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Central, and 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Um, this is not an easy place where we're living in right now, but we got to stick together. Well, thank you, Jed. I appreciate that. It means more to me than you ever know. Like you said, thanks for the show. Thank you, Jed. No, thank you for being here. And to Omar, you're more than welcome. Absolutely. Absolutely. And to you all, thank you so much. And have a rest and joy of your week. And I'll see you on Friday. Continue to be safe. Continue to be sound. Continue to be healthy. Most importantly, above anything else, continue to be loved. Long live the peace. Long live the funk. More power to you. Always imparting with all of you. Always keep your head up.